establishing a humane and compassionate standard for mitigating conflicts with birds that we hope corporations, businesses, and private property owners in and around Portland will also soon follow. Avitrol has been banned in Great Britain, and 2 cities in Canada have also banned it, Red Deer and Halifax. It's also restricted in New York, the state, and banned in New York City, San Francisco, Fort Collins, and Boulder, Colorado. We are thrilled that the city of Portland will now serve as a trailblazer for the development and implementation of humane and effective bird management policies, and hope to see these policies replicated in other cities and towns in Oregon, the Pacific Northwest, and beyond. Thank you again for the opportunity to comment on the proposed resolution this morning, and I'm happy to address any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. It's a great honor to have you testify before us. Thank you. Now we have up Lisa Frisch from the Portland Business Alliance. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor Wheeler and Commissioners. My name is Lisa Frisch, and I'm the Downtown Retail Program Director for Portland Business Alliance and Downtown Clean and Safe. I'm here today to provide information on city-approved methods that we have employed to minimize nuisance issues related to crows in the downtown area. I do have a video I'm going to show halfway through my testimony. In 2015, on our annual business census and survey data collection, we were surprised to note that many of our respondents felt that downtown was not as clean as it was in the past. As you know, Clean and Safe spends over $1 million with a contract with Central City Concern to provide janitorial services in downtown Portland. We hadn't noticed a huge difference in the amount of litter that we were picking up in downtown, but we did notice that the crow population was booming, something that we hadn't previously seen. In some high crow population areas, streets, sidewalks, furnishings were carpet bombed with bird droppings. Our cleaning staff power washes every sidewalk in the Clean and Safe District twice a year, but we started to power wash every night in high crow population areas. 2 issues that presented: we power wash overnight so as not to disturb pedestrian activity during the day, but crows dirty the sidewalks around 7 a.m. in the morning. Additionally, crows were causing issues in the cold weather months, and we cannot power wash during freezing conditions as it would lead to unsafe conditions on the sidewalk. In 2015, Portland Mall Management Inc. partnered with Clean and Safe to contract with a company that provided a Zamboni-like sidewalk scrubber that we dubbed the Poop Master 6000. And I have a video that aired on NBC 9 News about Poop Master 6000.
In the dark downtown Portland, you might not be able to see the crows, but you can definitely see the mess they leave behind.
The challenge was how to clean after the crows leave at like 7 in the morning. You know, they wake up and they do their thing, they leave.
The crows roost here in the winter. Their droppings coat everything from statues to sidewalks. But today, and 5 days a week from now until spring, this little green machine is making a difference. It's called the Poop Master 6000 and comes complete with a rather guilty-looking crow on the front. Portland Mall Management is renting the Poop Master for a 6-month trial. It cleans up all the droppings in the mall area and works in wet or dry weather. People we talked to seem to appreciate it.
I think it would beautify the area. It would take the stench away because it does kind of smell, and it would just make the city more attractive.
At the very least, it's getting a lot of attention.
People come up and want to take the picture, and like, yes, sir, you know, for the most part, they're liking it.
Thank you. A little bit of humor for today's important and serious topic. The Poop Master 6000 cleaned the sidewalk, but it was a slow process. You saw how the machine was very slow. It was very limited in scope and very expensive, $30,000 to run for a season. The Poop Master did make a return appearance in late 2016, but at that time we sought a more sustainable solution. Since that time we worked with integrated avian solutions to help direct the crow populations from high pedestrian areas instead to green spaces where they might have a more enjoyable experience. Integrated Avian Solutions employs falconry to manage nuisance bird populations by allowing a raptor, in this case a Harris hawk, to fly near groups of crows.
Oh, you didn't say murders of crows. I was waiting for that. Is it a document here?
I think it might not be politically correct crow term. I read something online that some people have asked us not to use that term. So
What term?
interesting. Thank you very much. You're
Crow.
welcome. Sorry about that.
Crow murders. Oh.
It was the proper term, but might not be a correct term. The presence of the raptor makes the birds roost elsewhere. There are no sounds emitted. There is no contact between the birds. We just wrapped up our 3rd year of the program, and you may have noticed that bird droppings have diminished in the central city, while Waterfront Park is a new haven for crows at night. We want to thank the City of Portland for partnering with us on these innovative solutions. Through the journey, we never employed any avicide or Avitrol or any tactics that were not supported by the city or the Audubon Society. We are always looking for innovative solutions that crop up to issues in downtown Portland and hope to act as a model for other enhanced service districts. We are very proud to show our successful results, and we'll be rolling out the next phase of our crow abatement program this October. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, questions for our distinguished panel?
It's a good discussion, actually.
I learned a lot today. Thank you.
You need to go up
That
there.
is a superb presentation. Thank you. That concludes our formal presentation. Carla, is anyone signed up?
Presentation.
Yes, there are 2 people signed up,
Very good.
with Maggie and Tara Cornelise.
Come on up. Name for the record, please.
Hello, thank you, Commissioners and Mayor. I am Dr. Tara Cornelisi, and I'm a senior scientist with the Center for Biological Diversity. We're a national nonprofit where we work to conserve biological diversity. We have many offices around the country, but I'm based here in Portland. So under that hat, as well as a resident of Portland and someone who loves wildlife, I just would like to provide some quick comment. Basically, I would just like to express my support and appreciation for this great resolution banning Avitrol and other bird poisons. The current mass extinction crisis, the UN report just came out recently, and million species are at risk of extinction, and because of human activities. We're really lucky that any wildlife can survive with us in our cities particularly. And so instead of poisoning them with dangerous chemicals, we should really appreciate how birds can add to our human-dominated landscape, including crows and pigeons. They're very unique animals with lots of really interesting behavior and intelligence. Overall, the Center for Biological Diversity advocates nationally against the use of dangerous pesticides, particularly that impair either non-target organisms or organisms that really add to the landscape, like bees, aquatic invertebrates, and of course birds. So we strongly support this resolution and are happy that Portland can once again provide an example for the rest of the state. I was happy to hear about that, as well as the country. And as Bob mentioned, an example of the EPA for how these dangerous chemicals should not be used and should not be re-registered to eliminate these kinds of harmful toxins. So I just wanted to say thank you for passing this resolution on behalf of myself and the Center for Biological Diversity.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank all the people who came to testify on this issue. And is there any way to prevent this chemical from being used on private property as well? Cruelty to animals and the spread of cancer-causing dermal toxins is not a good thing. So it's great that the city wants to do it on city structures and sidewalks, but what can be done to ban it from private use? And also, is that Zamboni electric or oil-based? And couldn't they just use like a carpet cleaner thing? You know, the carpet cleaner squirts the warm water, and then vacuums it up. It's not quite as big as it costs.
Because the city might be funding that corporation.
So private, ban it for on private property?
It's regulated by the feds. It's one of those areas where we have very limited role in terms of private conduct other than using the bully pulpit. For example, talking to our friends at the port and making sure that they don't use these particular pesticides and others. But at the end of the day, we don't have a regulatory, we have a very limited regulatory function in terms of private actors. So what we're hoping is to set an example of how we use this in the public sphere and then use the bully pulpit to to get others to follow us.
Okay, I just want to mention that the skin is like the lungs, it's very permeable, and recently they did a study on sunscreen, and there's some chemicals in sunscreen that get in the system. So this dermal toxin can pass through the skin very easily, and we need to stress that for people who are still using it on private property, is that it can, like they say, travel, because the birds fly, so it'll travel from private property to public property.
Commissioner Hursley.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you both for your testimony.
Yeah, thank you both. And I will just say that the state, your state legislator would be the appropriate person to talk to about regulating chemicals at the state level. And I would encourage you to connect with your state representative and state senator and have them move forward on this. And I think the state will be an example that they will be able to follow.
Very good. Colleagues, any further discussion? I'd just like to say one thing, Commissioner Fish, while you have your opponents here, some of whom have traveled a long distance to be here today, we're very grateful and honored by your presence. I thank you for bringing this to the City Council, and it is a very important issue. It might not be one that's front and center in everybody's minds, but I know that when the winter comes around again, this is a question that will pop up again, and we're going to get lots of inquiries, we're going to get lots of emails. And I hope what the public hears today is that the livability issue is being actively engaged around by Portland Clean and Safe, Portland Business Alliance, and others in the downtown area, and that we have employed humane approaches to addressing this problem. I just want to say, and the testimony today just underscores what I already believe, Commissioner Fish, which is this is the right thing to do because it is the wrong thing to do to use toxins to poison wildlife under any scenario where the main issue that people are concerned about is poop on the ground. That we can deal with through other means, and it does not require us to use inhumane toxins. I also just want to underscore the testimony that we heard from two of the folks this morning, which is that we are being very naive, foolish even, if we believe that using neurotoxins on wildlife will not eventually impact us as humans. And so I would strongly support this. I did have one question for staff, if I could ask. Let me ask the question, and maybe whoever.
Nicole and David, are you still here?
They're still here.
Why don't you just come forward real quick?
Great.
And by the way, Nicole Linehan's title is Pest Management Specialist with the Parks Bureau. So we're very fortunate to have a dedicated staff person whose job it is to review all these policies citywide. And David is Environmental Specialist with PES.
Well, and thank you for being here and sharing your good work with the City Council and with the public. It is my understanding that at this point we're not using Avitrol, but I heard reference to another chemical that suppresses the ability of birds to lay eggs. We're not using that either, are we?
Yeah, that was mentioned by a representative from Humane Society. I think it's called, the product name is Bobo Control. And we are not currently using that through the IPO.
Good. And then the second question, the main purpose of this, and the reason we're bringing, Commissioner Fish is bringing it to council, is to ensure that all of our city bureaus are on the same page with regard to this. And it's my understanding that none of the other city bureaus at this particular point have been using those chemicals either. Is that correct?
Yes, we reached out to all the representatives that oversee integrated pest management for the bureaus, and they did not. No one reached back saying that they did use them.
Great. And then I had just sort of a question of interest just because it was raised. So we can say folks, Portland Business Alliance and others, falconers, to and if I understood this correctly, to herd the crows into a larger green space. So they actually have targeted locations, or how does that work?
Yeah, the project between Downtown Clean and Safe and the Falconers, they've mapped out a grid of areas for priority for keeping the birds out of, the crows out of, and that includes the transit malls, and then identified safe areas. And so that includes the waterfront, the green spaces. So the Falconers use their Harris's hawks. When the crows are coming in to spend the night and they're coming in to settle in at dusk, their metabolism is winding down and they're looking for a safe place that's free of predators. And that's when the Falconers start flying their hawks. And having a hawk on the same street where you're thinking about spending the night doesn't work for the crows.
Okay, so it's eventually then just a learned behavior that this area has hawks, whereas this area over here, they come to learn don't have hawks. Is that?
It's partly a learned behavior. It's a couple times per week, so it's partly an association that this area isn't safe, but it's also continued pressure because there's so many birds involved.